Okay, welcome to the discussion for the written report assessment method for trainers methodology level 1. The first core competency na ating i-cover is the conduct competency assessment po muna. So first, what are the activities that the assessor must do prior to the assessment? So first daw, you're gonna have to conduct a site inspection to check and ensure the safety and accessibility of the assessment center. Siyempre, you have to always check then the completeness of the assessment resources like tools, materials, and equipment needed and the completeness of the assessment package. So, mahalaga po na ating ma-check yung especially yung completeness of the assessment package because it can be a cause of compromise sa assessment process. Okay? Number 3 daw is gonna have to coordinate. You're gonna have to coordinate with the assessment center manager and identify the roles of all the people involved. As mentioned in our previous meetings, the role of the assessor is to just gather evidences and to uphold the standard prescribed by the training regulations. The role of the AC manager is to basically manage the assessment process. And the role of the tester representative is to oversee the proper conduct of the assessment by the assessor and the AC manager. Number 4, you have to prepare oneself in terms of grooming, syempre, and review the assessment procedure and process. Number 5, confirm reporting arrangement and assessment record keeping. Next daw is how do you prepare the candidates or an orientation? Giving a clear and concise orientation is very important to ensure that the candidates fully understand what they will undergo through the assessment procedures. This will give an overview of what to expect in the entire assessment process. We're gonna have to establish again a healthy and a relaxed environment per se, not a stressful one during the assessment. Hindi dapat tayo magbibigay ng dahilan para hindi maging maayos ang performance ng ating mga candidates because your entire job lang is to oversee their or rather to judge their competence for that particular qualification. So kung mako-compromise yun, yung kanilang performance dahil sa ating kagagawan din, parang mali naman po yun. Okay? Next are key points. So what are the key points that you're gonna have to discuss during the assessment orientation? Siyempre, you're gonna have to first discuss the context and purpose of the assessment. Refers to the physical setting, context, purpose of the assessment, and certification arrangements. Purpose of the certificates then as well. Next is you're gonna have to establish the needs of the candidate to establish any reasonable or allowable adjustments. May it be language, so you're gonna have to translate from English to vernacular or a local dialect. Culture and religion, cultural beliefs and cultural and religious beliefs and practices. Medical or other health conditions like pregnancies, illnesses, diseases, and other disabilities. Personal needs. So yung ating body composition. Siyempre, you're gonna have to, lahat naman tayo ay nag-experience na hunger thirst medication. Need natin whenever we are ill. Need for a certain tool to aid our demonstration. Next, what are the legal/ethical responsibilities associated with the assessment? In line with the guidelines. So, syempre, you're gonna have to provide pre-consent of the candidates. You're gonna have to provide confidentiality of the assessment process and especially the assessment result, integrity of the assessment and the competency assessors. You're gonna have to have this aspect naman, yung occupational health and safety na dapat top priority. You're gonna provide them with the system of on the right to appeal. You're gonna have to provide adherence to the quality system policies and procedures and transparent reporting, recording, and retrieval system. Next is the competency standards to be assessed and the evidences to be collected. So you're gonna have to provide the qualification overview. What are the units of competencies to be assessed? So basically, what is expected of them to be competent during the assessment process. Task to be performed, syempre, napakahalaga, with allotted time. Evidences to be collected, what are the performance criteria that is needed in order for them to become competent on that particular competency or qualification. And lastly, the methods of assessment. Next is assessment procedures in line with the relevant assessment guidelines. So again, we're going to have to establish the context and purpose of the assessment, prepare the candidates, collect and gather evidences of their work performance, make a fair judgment or a good decision, record all observations and prepare the report, provide feedback using the right feedback mechanism, and review the entire assessment process. Next is on how to do or convey information using verbal and non-verbal language, which promote a supportive assessment environment. So by giving an orientation daw, it helps in preparing the candidate for the assessment, ensuring his or her readiness. It helps that the candidates feel relaxed and not apprehensive. So remember that your job nga po as the assessor is to just gather evidences. So they need to provide 100% of their work performance. So if they feel apprehended, di ba? They may not do or provide you with 100% of their work performance, di ba? It provides a supportive environment by allowing the candidate to clarify on the following: units of competencies to be assessed, assessment methods to be used, flow of the assessment process, and responsibilities of all the people involved. Next is ensuring the identity. The candidate, syempre, you're gonna have to cross-check the appearance of the person na nasa harap nyo with the admission slip and the ID picture. Kung pwede rin naman through a valid ID, preferably a government-issued ID. And lastly, ko-compare din, maliban sa picture, yung attendance signatures. How do you ensure daw that the candidate understands the task to be performed? First, you're gonna have to explain the task to be performed with allotted time. You will provide a hard copy with the specific instructions to the candidate, which is a part of the assessment package, and you should allow him or her to read said specific instructions to the candidate. You're gonna have to provide time for the candidate to ask questions before the start of the assessment process. Next is do's and don'ts of an assessor while observing the candidate. You should always, syempre, establish a supportive environment. Stop the candidate only if accident is imminent. Inhibit self from providing any assistance during the assessment process. And record all observations in the rating sheets. You should not do naman interrupt nor distract the candidate, syempre. Again, they should be provided to have a chance to have, they should have a chance to be able to provide 100% of their work performance. You don't make the candidate feel more nervous because in the first place, they're supposed to be nervous dahil sila ang ina-assess eh. Diba? So, dapat, if you make it less than more nervous. You should not ask questions while the candidate is performing, syempre. And as the assessor, you should not leave then the assessment area. Next is how to collect and gather and document evidences in accordance with the assessment procedures relevant to the assessment guidelines. During an oral questioning, you should not provide the correct answer. Diba? You should not let the candidate think or conclude that the assessment is already finished. Kasi basically, ang oral questioning / interview is the last method to be used. So, nangyayari siya, malapit na matapos yung buong assessment process. So, do not give give hints that may let your candidates think na tapos na pala yung assessment kaya uuwi na ako. You do not let the candidate assume that you as the assessor is already providing feedback. Dapat you should not provide feedback. You should not correct if their answer may be wrong during the oral questioning. You should not correct them because they can assume that it is already feedback. So lastly, you do not give remarks that may insinuate the result. That will be done on the feedbacking. Next is the basis of the assessment decision. Syempre, you're gonna have to have a basis. So bases are multiple of bases lang po yan. First daw is the rules of evidence. The evidence must be valid, recent, current, sufficient, consistent, and authentic. The dimensions of competency then, task skills, task management skills, contingency management skills, and job role environment skills. Evidences requirements naman based on the task to be performed. May it be demonstration with oral questioning, interview, written test, or if applicable, portfolio. Next is the corroboration of all evidences. Evidences are analyzed in compatibility to the elements, the performance criteria, range of variables, and the evidence guide in the relevant units of competency, which is situated in the training regulation. Note thou that in having difficulty or doubts in making the assessment decision, the assessor should review the whole assessment process, maintain objectivity, and analyze the evidences gathered or provided by the candidate and compare to the performance criteria written in the rating sheet. The right feedback mechanism daw, it's the sandwich method or the kiss, kick, and kiss again. So basically, you will put the areas for improvement or the negative aspect of your feedback on the middle. First, you're gonna have to reinforce good performance, enumerate the positive areas, task performed satisfactorily. Next is you're gonna specify the areas for improvement. Enumerate the tasks not performed satisfactorily, questions not answered correctly or satisfactorily. And lastly, so you're gonna have to provide recommendations or suggestions in order for them to improve those areas for improvement. Disagreement issues in case that your candidate doesn't agree with your assessment decision daw, you should first daw ask the candidate to identify the areas of disagreement, explain to the candidate the basis of your assessment decision through the use of the assessment package, the rating sheets, and the performance criteria, and the competency standards. Next is you have to record the identified areas of disagreement in the rating sheet for both assessor and the candidate to sign, and prepare an incident report or submit it to the tester representative, which should be present during the assessment day. How to help the candidates in exploring ways to overcome any gap in the competencies. You're gonna have to provide advice or further study in the feedback, training or more practice to enhance the knowledge, skills, and also improve the performance of your trainees. In the reassessment process naman, if the rating is not yet competent, the assessor should discuss the reassessment process and advise the candidate in accordance with the tester representative for the next available schedule of the assessment. Also, the assessor daw should provide suggestions to the candidate on how to improve the performance. In the event that your candidate doesn't agree with the assessment decision that you made and magkakaroon siya ng dispute daw, always remember that the candidates have the right to appeal. So again, you will ask the candidate to identify the areas of disagreement, Siyempre, explain daw yung further basis of the assessment decision. Record uli natin. Magsasubmit uli ng incident report sa TESDA representative involved. And that's it for conduct competency assessment. Next is for the plan training session. For the plan training session, wait. Okay, for the plan training session, so need daw natin pag-usapan first is the session plan. The session plan is a simply stated, clearly written, and flexible trainer aid for conducting a session or a module. It is based on the curriculum of the unit of competency. It is also accomplished according to the suggested format. The benefits of the session plan, it gives the trainer an idea on where they are and where they are going. Also gives the trainers and the learners a clear idea of what they are doing. It records the training sessions that the trainers have taken. It gives the trainers a starting point if they have to do the training again with another learner or a group of learners, and it also gives the trainer a firm base to review their own performance. There are 8 steps in designing an effective session plan. You're gonna have first to define or identify the purpose of the training and the target audience. Determine the characteristics of your trainees and their training needs. Define training goals and objectives. Outline training content. You have to develop instructional activities written in the session plan. You have to prepare the written session plan. Prepare the candidates evaluation forms, and lastly, determine follow-up activities for the event. The elements of the session plan naman are first is basically that is from the so from the broadest to the more specific. So start tayo sa industry sector, which your qualification will belong to. Next is the title of your qualification and level, kung anong national certificate level yan under the PTQF or the Philippine Tibet Qualification Framework. Next is the unit of competency that you're gonna have to develop the session plan on for sample purposes and the module title of the said unit of competency. Next is the learning outcome of that specific unit of competency, and from there, the learning activities for each learning outcomes. Next is you're gonna have to provide an evaluation and the teacher's reflection of the said session plan. The whole planning of the training session as well as the facilitation of the learning session is based on Robert Gagne's 9 events of instructions. The 9 events of learning, which Gagne defines as a set of events external to the learner, which are designed to support the internal processes of your learning. Gagne's instructional theory is widely used in the design of the instruction by designers, and in many settings, it also brings the idea from behaviorism and cognitism, and it provides a clear template which is easy to follow when designing instructional events. So the first event is the gaining of the attention, giving the students a stimulus that can also be done, and this can be done by maybe an engaging story. Basta basically, you're gonna have to gain their attention before anything else. Siyempre, kaya the proper term is gain. You will not force the attention. You should be able to gain their attention. Next is to inform the learner of the objective, telling the learner that they are able to do as a result of the instruction. Next is you have to stimulate the recall of prior knowledge. It's easier for the learner to learn a new skill when they are able to connect them with what they already know. After that, you're gonna have to present a material. So present the content in different ways, like what we are doing. So presentation purposes, may it be individual studies, lecture discussion, audiovisual presentations, or demonstrations. Next is providing guidance to the learner. So syempre, hindi lang din natatapos sa pagpapresent ng material ang ating work as a trainer. Students should be provided the guidance in order to cut down on frustration during the learning activities. This can be in a form of one-on-one coaching or Q&A, rubrics or cheat sheets. And I think that would be useful in providing, siyempre, yung both structure and guidance to the learner. Next is eliciting of the performance. Students should be given the opportunity to be able to practice and acquire the skills, their skills for that particular learning. While this can be accomplished by modeling by the instructor, and the most effective method is to, syempre, through the demonstration or practicing of the said skill. Next is you're gonna have to provide feedback. The next step is to provide feedback. The feedback should be specific rather than in general, like you're doing a good job. You should be able to present in detail kung ano yung feedback doon sa performance na yun. Next is assessing the performance. Evaluate the learners to determine that the lesson that has been learned and to provide the general progress information. And lastly, enhancing retention and transfer. This can be done though by informing the learners about the similarly problem situations, review, provide additional practice, or give the students the opportunity to apply their new skills in personal contexts. Try to make job sheets with different performance conditions to expose the trainee in the different conditions or situations in an actual job. Parts of the learning activity, syempre, that is divided into 7. First is the learning content or the content that you will teach, the topic basically. Next is the methods, which is divided into presentation, practice, and feedback. How would you present? How you let them elicit the performance? And lastly, how you will give the feedback on those performances. Next is the learning resources that you're gonna have to be able to elicit the method being used sa ating learning contents. And lastly, time. Learning contents daw comprises of the learning elements to be covered in the learning outcome. So, for example daw, for the presentation side, for the presentation, the student is presented with the ideas, concept, and process appropriate to the learning outcome. So, ano yung mga example niyan? Reading of the information sheet, viewing slides, films, and film strips, listening to tapes, observation in advanced students. So, next is you're gonna have to provide practice. The student is provided with an opportunity to practice or apply the same knowledge or skill that was presented. How will you do that? By answering self-checks for knowledge contexts, involving typical problems, hands-on practice, among others. Finally, you will give an immediate feedback based on the result on the work performance by checking the answers to the answer key, checking the finished product of the said task performance, among others. Next is examples of learning resources that you're gonna have to use in order for you to elicit the performance. CBLMs, papers, pencils, erasers, drawing instruments, orthographic, etc. Lastly is the time. Since the approach of that learning daw is self-paced, time or duration of the training is not a must. However, a trainer/facilitator can opt to identify the time or duration of the training as a basis to identify whether the trainee is a slow or a fast learner. In documenting the learning process, it is advisable to indicate how long it took for each trainee to finish and successfully apply the process or idea presented. So you're gonna have to provide evaluation naman. The trainees should provide evaluation on the sessions. So the two forms of that is actually formative and summative. So for formative daw, it is a form of progress checks for every learning outcome. So progress checks can be conducted through written test or practical test. And for summative naman is the evaluation of the summation of the whole module. Diba? So this can also be conducted to written and practical tests. For trainers slash teachers reflection, so basically you're gonna have to reflect on has transpired during the previous session plan. So factors to be considered now are successful moments or events experienced throughout the learning process, feedback from the learners slash trainees regarding the use of CBLMs, and the result of the evaluation. Lastly, again, yung time is, although optional, it is still considered one of the essential factors in identifying the effectiveness of the training delivery and design of the learning materials. That's it for plan training session. Next is for supervised work-based learning. So there are different types of learning activities, which is work-based training, dual training system, industry linkages, trainees, training requirement, and the training plan. So first is you're gonna have to establish learning requirements for the trainees. Parang yung ginawa din po sa ating planning of the training session through the use of the pre-training assessment tools. Work-based training is a training delivery mode by which trainees are exposed in the workplace. The workplace naman refers to the industry or school-based activities. Example given, income generating projects, etc. So there are different kinds of work-based learning. The first is actually job shadowing. Wait. Job shadowing is a school supervised or exploration that the trainees will visit the work sites and shadow o observe nila ang employees performing their jobs. Next is internship. Internship daw helps trainees move from school to the workplace by offering hands-on learning in real work settings. So apprenticeship naman is involving a contract between an apprentice and an employer or a mentor. The dual training system naman ay simultaneously nangyayari ang training both on the school and the industry. Lastly, school-based enterprise are typically involves trainees in the management of a business that produces or sells schools as a part of the school program. Objectives of work-based training is to expand the trainees' learning through the planned career experiences, to help trainees make the transition from school to work and career, to teach them the environment of work, increase the trainees' awareness and appreciation of the relevance in basic common and core competencies, provide the trainees with opportunities, and to provide or project a positive image of the trainees that through involvement in the business and industry. So what is career experience? It is a planned and progressive educational program by combining academic studies with on-the-job experiences. Career naman is a general course or progression of one's working life or one's professional achievements. That's why career is different from a job. Placement naman is the finding of a suitable accommodation or employment for applicants. Key terms daw is tie-ups, partnerships, linkages, alliances, coordination, benchmarking, that is memorandum of agreement, and memorandum of understanding. So there is a law, which is the RA 7686 or the Dual Training System Act of 1994. It is an act that to strengthen manpower education and training in the Philippines by institutionalizing the dual training system as an instructional delivery system for technical and vocational education and training, providing the mechanism appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes. For maintain training facilities naman, so these are the key points lang that you should remember on that may be asked of you during either the written report or the oral questioning. So what is the process daw muna or procedure on how to request a particular item, tool, or material in the workplace. So the purchase requisition process daw starts with a purchase requisition, a document that is created by the purchaser and submitted to the department that control finances. So it's either a purchasing department or procurement department. Consider this is the part of the process where you get the thumbs up to purchase the needed tools, equipment, and machines for your laboratory or workshop, preparing a purchase request form and have the training director approve the purchase request. After that, the training director will seek an approval from the accounting or office the office that handles finances and the school administrator to purchase additional tools slash equipments and will provide the purchase order. Next is what is the standard operating procedure on broken equipment. You should first inform the maintenance department as soon as possible and make a report, and you should request for repair and put a tag of out of order on the said equipment. Suggest if there is a need to buy a new equipment or part. It is also important to report as soon as possible any problems of equipment or tools to minimize accidents and to prolong the lifespan of the said equipment or tool. So, next is what is a proper waste disposal system. A proper waste disposal system daw po, you should always provide or segregate the trash and provide 3 trash bins for papers, plastics, cans, and for biodegradable trash or nabubulok. In our institution daw, for example, we follow the 3 R's, the reuse, reduce, and recycle. Next is how to record or document the equipment slash machine maintenance and repair. So, syempre daw, first, the maintenance slash technician is in charge of all the equipments and machines. All equipment, tools, materials are labeled and tagged according to their condition. Use logbook labeling, date labeled, assign area, and borrower's card. Records shall be arranged according to the number of breakdowns, maintenance costs, repair and maintenance details, and material consumption. Then, information necessary for the documentation of the works shall be as follows: maintenance listing, manpower utilization, material cost, and cost analysis. That's it for maintain training facilities. Next is for the facilitate learning sessions. So the first thing that you're gonna have to ask yourself is what are the activities that you will do even before the training starts. So you should be able to prepare the workstation, facilities, tools, equipment, and materials required based on the learning activities. You should have prepared the pre-assessment instruments in accordance with the number of trainees. Check all the equipments that to be used that they are in good running condition. So next naman daw po is during the start of a particular session. Syempre, you should introduce yourself as a trainer, take the attendance and confirm each trainee against the application form. You should check the pre-training assessment tools provided to the trainer, give instructions on facility and resources slash workstation and its station, schedule individual and a small group activity as needed, used variety of teaching techniques designed to the learner's capabilities, monitor the training activities, allowed the trainees to assume the individual responsibility for the training, evaluated the performance of the trainees based on their performance criteria checklist, record the achievements of the trainees in the progress slash achievement charts, and provide continuous feedback to trainees. That is the wrong continuous. Next is how to choose the learning materials. Using the CBLM as a learning material is effective and it is focused on the competency development with the emphasis on what the learner can actually do. It also focuses on the outcome rather than the learning process. I may or may not though, for example, change the learning material depending on the student's learning style and characteristics and its cost effectiveness. Next is what are the questions that you will ask yourself during a particular session, the types of questions are the task skills, task management skills, job role environment skills, and the contingency management skills. Occupational health and safety practices. Sorry, this is not for yourself pala, no? This is for the trainees. Other laws, rules, and regulations that you may ask your trainees during a particular session. It is necessary to assess, evaluate, and determine the acquired knowledge of the skills of the trainees. How do you ensure the participation of your students? You should ensure the participation by having them perform the training activities slash tasks suited by their learning styles. By grouping them to perform a particular task slash activity and giving them an assignment. By checking their progress chart every time they finish their task slash activity, and lastly by asking questions. Next is documents used to help you manage the class activities. So ano ba yung mga yun? Siyempre, session plans, training activity matrix, progress chart, achievement charts. So session plan daw is used to manage the learning session, the topics. For training activity matrix daw, the schedule for an entire day of the said session plan. And the progress and achievement chart to monitor the progress of your trainees. So what are the adult learning principles daw next that you will use on providing or facilitating the learning sessions? So learning daw is more productive when students are ready to learn. Learning is more effective when it builds on what the student knows or has experienced. Learning is more effective when students know what they want to learn. Learning is effective when using a variety of training methods and techniques. Opportunities to practice the skills is controlled or simulated. Situations are essentials to the skill acquisitions. Repetition is necessary to become competent or proficient in the skill. And lastly, to be more effective, feedback is immediate, positive, and non-judgmental. For the assessment tools naman, na used during an entire session. So what are those? Those are the evidence plans for you to be able to identify how will you gather evidences based on the criteria and based on the methods to be used. Written test, performance test, observation checklist, and oral questioning tools. A need to make an improvement will depend on how sufficient these assessment tools will be in measuring the knowledge and skills of the trainees in the next training. In providing feedback naman daw, the feedback to the students must be optimistic, using the evidences gathered from the evaluation sheet and interview with the trainees during their practical demonstration. There is no need to improve because evidences gathered are sufficient to supplement the feedback. But just be careful daw in the choice of words and always be positive. Lastly, the importance of a session evaluation, basically. So, ang importance daw po nun is to know the trainee's satisfaction with the training session and to ensure that the quality of the training method adjustments needed in the training session, and to lastly improve activities that are unsuccessful.